expeditions, adventures, treasure, and mysteries of long-vanished civilizations. All this is out of the ordinary for regular people, but for me, it's just my daily routine. Still, sometimes I wish I lived a simple life, lazing around on my couch and surfing TV shows. Who am I? My name is Alicia Quatermain, and I'm a professional adventurer. I don't look for adventures, they find me. And it happened again just now. While I was watching my favorite sitcom, the show was interrupted with the breaking news that someone had broken into the Louvre and stolen the famous painting of the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. Suddenly, I heard a loud knock at my door. Who could that be? I wondered. It was Professor Z's daughter, Kate. She was holding the Mona Lisa with Leonardo da Vinci at her side. This had to be either a dream or a stupid prank, but it was neither. Kate told me the whole story. She'd been taking a walk in Florence when the great artist had appeared in front of her from out of thin air. The great Leonardo had done the impossible. He'd invented a time machine. But he quickly had become a victim of his own creation when his beloved Cecilia had been flung to the distant past. Even worse, when Da Vinci had tried to get her back, the machine had sent him forward into the future. Our time. Based on his research, Da Vinci realized he would need to build a more powerful time machine if he was going to rescue his beloved and return with her to their time. Unfortunately, all his drawings of the time machine had remained in the past. But luckily, he had encrypted his design specs into several of his paintings. So Da Vinci and Kate decided to temporarily borrow his portrait of Mona Lisa from the Louvre. Da Vinci and Kate asked me to help them search for the 2 rare artifacts they were still lacking to build a new time machine. Well, there's no need to ask me twice when a new adventure calls. We jumped into my plane and flew to the Bermuda Triangle, which was where the first artifact was supposed to be hidden. The Bermuda Triangle is always a hazardous place to fly in the best of circumstances. That day wasn't one of those. We flew into a huge storm. The radar stopped working and we were forced to fly blind. I brought our plane safely down on an unknown island. With great difficulty, we managed to reach an agreement with the Aborigines to help them out in exchange for a non-working bath escape that had been abandoned on the island many years before. Then we got into the bath escape and dove into the depths of the ocean. After a while, we found an underwater city. Could that be the famous Atlantis? I wondered. And the city was inhabited. The Atlanteans told us that in the 15th century, someone had erected an idol that emitted energy in all directions. When the local tribes had discovered the idol, they had started to worship it. Eventually, the city had sunk into the water, but there's already a large settlement around the idol. Thanks to its energy, the Atlanteans had been able to use futuristic technologies and live happily under the water. Until recently, life on the underwater island had been good. But over the past few decades, the idol had started to punish people by emitting less and less energy. Finally, everything fell into decline. But there was still enough energy being emitted that the city of Atlantis was surviving. It was as clear as day that the flow capacitor, the first artifact, was maintaining Atlantis. Removing it wasn't an option. First, we had to settle the Atlanteans' problems. With the flow capacitor repaired, we took our warm farewell from the Atlanteans. In gratitude for our help, they created an improved, more efficient capacitor for us. When I asked my uncle, he said he knew a merchant who could get a hold of rare items like the last artifact. But I wondered what that artifact might cost. The last artifact we needed was an inverter hidden in Egypt in a top-secret underground military laboratory. Laboratory. We hopped on board the plane. It took off right away. No storms this time around, thank goodness. us. Instead, though, when we arrived at the destination, we encountered a new problem. Our target was extremely well guarded. But every place on Earth, even a top-secret underground military lab in the Egyptian desert, had a backdoor somewhere. We found it. Now we just had to pass by the guards undetected and avoid setting off the alarm. We had opened the final, most important gate, and the inverter was in our hands. A quick exit on the run seemed prudent. We had all the parts for the time machine now. The time machine was as good as ready. But if Da Vinci's calculations were accurate, it would only function at the South Pole, where the magnetic interference would be weak enough for the machine to work. That was our next destination. We traveled part of the way by dog sled until we were faced with mountainous chunks of ice that stretched for as far as the eye could see, and we had to continue on foot. Our journey became far more difficult and filled with obstacles. We persevered and finally arrived at the South Pole. There, we assembled Da Vinci's time machine. A blinding ray of light shot into the sky. The journey had been hard, but it had been worth it. Finally, Da Vinci would be able to see his beloved again. Saying farewell, he stepped into the light ray from the time machine. Suddenly, the ground started to shake. The earth began to split apart. It looked as if doomsday had arrived. Clearly, Da Vinci had made a mistake in his calculations. His time travel was causing space-time continuum to break apart. A huge price for his travel through time. The whole world was about to collapse. We had to prevent the apocalypse before it was too late. Even though I realized I might never return to my own time, I jumped into the ray of the time machine after Da Vinci. I found myself in ancient Egypt and saw Da Vinci with his beloved Cecilia there. But what was going on here? The ground was cracking there too. All of space and time was collapsing. We were all doomed. Ever the brilliant scientist, Da Vinci quickly came up with a working hypothesis. Perhaps all of this was happening because none of us belonged to this time and space. Time itself was rejecting our presence, but we could do nothing because there was no energy remaining for the transfer. Time was running out. Could we remedy the situation and save the universe? We found an ancient artifact. It might give us the chance to return to our own time. But the earthquakes were getting broader and longer. Our own deaths were a nanosecond away as the ground trembled and shook beneath our feet. Staying upright was almost impossible. At the very last moment, I managed to grab the power switch and activate the light ray from the time machine. The bright light blinded us for a while. When our eyes recovered, we found ourselves in the middle of a busy thoroughfare in a modern, bustling town. Success! We'd managed to prevent the apocalypse. Alas, the calm didn't last for long. Our sojourn in ancient Egypt had violated the cause and effect relationship in space-time. The treasure Kate and Da Vinci borrowed had incomprehensibly returned to the museum. And, worst of all, Da Vinci's beloved had disappeared again. After long deliberation, Leonardo came up with a new theory. We could rectify everything and get Cecilia back if we removed all his paintings and inventions from the Louvre, so that nobody would ever be able to study them, or the designs embedded in them, and solve a mystery of governing time. That was why the world's continued existence was still in peril. Getting into the Louvre was easy, but the Louvre is huge. How could we find all of Da Vinci's inventions? Thank goodness Kate was with us. She was a true Louvre connoisseur. And it did. Another success. But it was a close call. The police were already there, searching for the intruders at the Louvre from the burglary. Still, Lady Luck was on our side. How wonderful that we managed to restore everything. Da Vinci and Cecilia are together again now, and that's the main thing. They aren't even upset upset that they can't go back to their own era. Maybe it will be better that way anyway. Da Vinci has already started to recreate his inventions and paintings so that he can return them to the museum. And he really seems to like our time. All that modern technology to play with.